This is the Freud's Angels podcast.
I'm Vanessa, your intuitive counselor.
And I'm Grace, your spiritual guide. Our goal is to help you learn to blend your spiritual connection
And mental consciousness to give you clarity
and understanding to lead a life
of your choosing. Welcome.
We're glad you're here. Hey, angels. Welcome to the Freud's Angels podcast. We are on episode 188. Yeah, I don't know why it's coming to mind, but so we discovered on Podomatic, where we house our websites, that if you don't have the actual link and you go and scroll through them, because on the site, when you go to it, it's listed by seasons. It looks like all we do is readings, and we don't. We do a lot of other things. So we probably have to go in and fix all the numbers, and that will happen eventually. But just know that use the link. I've been posting the link with the post on Instagram and Facebook. Just use the link there to find the podcast if you don't use Spotify or Apple or some other podcast product.
Yeah.
So don't
things do that on the other products. So if you want to go on Spotify, you'll get everything in chronological order.
Right. Because it's posted by release date versus episode date, time, whatever. Anyways.
Time. What is it?
Yeah. The construct. So
Automatic, obviously on a different time.
Yes. Yes. We are on Vanessa and Grace time, which is no time. Vanessa, what are we going to chat about today? This one's going to be interesting because I think it's, what are we going to talk about?
It's funny because I feel like when I sat down today, I was like, we can't do another riff like we just did it, or we can't just do that, right? Like we have to be pointed and blah blah blah. And that's actually on point for what we are talking about today, of that idea of this is what you have to do, this is what you have to be, this is how it has to look, or else kind of thing. So because I think for me, I know for me, it's been a struggle for a very long time. Probably, my whole entire life, I feel like, has been a struggle of identity, and not in terms of I don't know who I am, but I don't know why I'm like this. It's kind of, the way that it has been, because I don't ever feel like I can point to a time where I had the internal belief that I made sense, right?
Yeah.
I just feel like my whole life has been, you don't make sense. You can't possibly be all these things, right? And for a while, it made me shameful because I remember getting a reading from somebody, and they said something about being a chameleon to be safe. And just the way that it landed on me made me feel like I was being fake in all of these areas, and that I was doing it. And of course, because I'm a Libra and I do love being accepted and enjoyed, I really was like, oh, I'm all this way because I needed praise, and I needed, and I probably don't like all these things. I was in a space of thinking that I was that much of a people pleaser that I didn't know who I was. And so I was all these things because I was trying to please other people. And that was a really not fun time for me. It made me feel really bad because that, was my whole identity.
Yeah.
Was the fact that I was everything. I would joke about Whitney Houston's "I'm Every Woman." I hear it and I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. Right? I feel that. But so that's just been the way that life has been, and I've embraced it and rejected it in a cycle, I think, for a very long time. But when you add in being an entrepreneur and trying to build a brand of your business, it is a whole other situation. And I feel like that's what's bringing this up right now, is that I'm, obviously rebranding a bit because I had to. My website was hijacked. It now is a very inappropriate website. So if you have an old card, please do not go to the Vanessa Perry link, because it is going to be a bad time.
It's not going to be the Vanessa Perry that you thought.
Yeah, 100%. So I was kind of forced into it, and that brought up a whole other level of identity stuff. Um, and I reached out to a person that I trust in terms of business branding and things like that, and we started to talk about it. This is somebody who took pictures of me a couple years ago, myself and my daughter, beautiful pictures, very oceanic, very magical. My
Mermaid.
cards were in there. Yeah, like it was very airy, and I love the images. But like a few weeks later, I was like, it's not all of me, and I
Yeah.
don't want to put it out there as me.
Yeah.
I need more. And so that's been the theme, and we're meeting this week on Thursday, and we're going to take some more pictures that are hopefully going to make me feel Libra balanced out there in the social media world, because gosh, it's so hard in this world to brand yourself, because it, like, even just saying it out loud feels like that, like a iron brand that doesn't go away, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, I, too have similar struggles in that I don't even know what my brand is. And, one of the comments, one of the you were talking about before was, you are your brand. And I'm like, how do you quantify that, man? And I
Mhm.
think part of it too, it goes against all the current branding, marketing,
Yes.
like what you need to do, who you need to be online, what you need to niche, whatever the fuck it is, down into.
We don't even like the words. We're like,
I
"Bah."
know it just doesn't roll off my tongue very well. You have to like really concentrate. Now I get that. I get there is purpose in it. And I understand it works for a lot of people. It does. It works for so many people. But there are some of us who stall our entrepreneurial process because that is a hang up for us.
Mhm,
Because whilst, yes, I want to work with a certain type of people, but I am just not this one thing.
mhm,
Like Vanessa's just not an intuitive counselor. She is many things. Like she and same with me. Like, yes, I love to do readings and energy work and things like that. But I have so many other things that are in my toolbox and so many other things I do that are not encompassed in that. And, I mean, we talked when we were redoing the intros and the outros, we talked about how hard it was for me to find a label
mhm.
because I was like, I don't know, I'm all the things. How do I
Yeah,
label that? And,
yeah.
and I also think this idea, this branding idea, if we're talking about the idea of just the logistics of branding, I think so many people, when they're in their brand and they've made money and they're having success and but something in their life shifts
Mhm,
and they want to head in a different direction, that they're afraid to because they're afraid to lose their security, and
mhm,
it causes a lot of fear and trepidation. Rather than following what's in their heart, they're just going to stick with something that doesn't work and they're not aligned with anymore.
mhm.
And 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 sometimes it's you have to, because you have to feed your family, you have to earn money. It's there's purpose in that. But I just feel that sometimes when we put ourselves in boxes and back ourselves into corners, and that's the only place that we can be, we limit how much of our impact we can have.
Yeah. Well, and I think we perpetuate the very thing that we can't do and feels unnatural to us, right? And so it's like I can't be part of it. Right? Like I can't be part of the people who make people feel that way, by being the people. So I can't just show up and be only that thing so that I can have my business be thriving, because then I'm perpetuating that exact thing to somebody else. Like somebody else is going to look at me and model their behavior according to something that I don't even believe in. And so that's been, that really has been a struggle. I feel like um I forget how this came to be, but I don't really remember what it was. Oh, that's what it was. I was guesting on a podcast, and they asked for my socials, and I was like, and I almost panicked because I was like, "Oh my god, like, I'm on here in a professional capacity. I'm gonna send them to my Instagram, which is all over the place," right? Like, my Instagram is me, like, I show up sometimes professionally, and other times I just put random things up there, right? Like,
Yeah.
that are not on any kind of brand other than, "This is a human thing that I'm doing today, guys," or, "Here's something that was on my mind." And that catapulted me into being like, okay, but that is on brand for me because that's what I'm trying to teach people to do is to be yourself, learn how to be yourself in this world that wants people to be one dimensional so that they're easy to line up and easy to put them places and easy to like deal with, right? Because if I know exactly who you are, I know exactly where to put you in my life and I know exactly how to deal with you. And that just ugh, like, again, like, don't wanna say it, and I don't wanna be it. So, it really, like, kinda put me in that in a space of being like, "But I can't not do it," because for a half second, I thought about cleaning up my Instagram, making it only be what I see all these other people who are like, "If you're a fitness person, all you do is put your fitness on there." I was like, "I don't think I can do that." I think that I need to keep that way because that is true to what I'm teaching.
Yeah.
My brand is
Yeah.
that you don't need to fit into a box in order to be valid. But like you were saying, how the hell do you explain that to people and then also keep your business together? Like, what am I coming to Vanessa for again?
Why?
Like,
Why am I here?
right, right, because it's like, I got everybody here for different reasons. All of it, though, the root of it is bringing people to who they are
Yeah.
and letting them create their life based on that, and, so that's what I've been trying to demonstrate, and but, like, it threw me into that identity crisis once again of being like, "Well, are you confusing people? Are you confusing people about themselves? Are other people gonna think that they have to be multifaceted or else they're not valid?" I mean, it's crazy the things that go on in your head because of all of the programming that's in there. And I can get why there's a lot of people like, I have clients that I know would be fantastic out on their own, but they're so afraid to do it
Yep.
because of this kind of stuff.
Yep.
It feels so scary to have to be a thing.
Yeah. And and I see the other side of it too, because some people are like, it's too much. Like I'll never start because I don't know where to start, right? And they need that to focus on that one thing.
Mhm.
And I totally can relate to that. Because that's part of the, again, it's hard for me to choose which facet to use and as well as, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It would be
Yeah.
helpful just to be one thing. But, but then we get stuck because
Yeah.
it was hard to get there. And if we're wanting to explore different facets of who we are, it's hard to go back to the beginning and to like refigure it out, if that makes sense.
It does. However, we have the most amazing example to point to. My spirit person on earth, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
That man will do anything.
Yeah.
He's like, "I don't care." I mean, and he's a gangster rapper, guys, like, for those that younger generation that's like, "Oh my god, Snoop is so goofy." Like, we know Snoop when he was hood Snoop, when he was a Crip, when he was legitimately in a gang.
Yep.
Like,
Legitimately talking about smoking weed and having sex with
and
women.
shooting, like, I mean,
Right.
he was in the hood. He was legitimately in the hood, doing
Mhm.
hood things, not good things. Like, seriously, but you
Yeah.
watch him now, and that man will do anything, and he is totally fine with whatever you think I am. I just need you to know that you're wrong, right? Like,
Mhm.
and it's like his brand has become be what everybody thinks you're not.
Yeah, right, right. Do the things people never expect you to be. Like, when he was, you know, singing G Thing, I don't know that we ever expected him to go to the Olympics and be a pr I mean,
Right?
Like, I don't know that that
Was
was
that
ever,
the
or that
United
he would
States?
partner with Martha Stewart and bring a level of weed smoking to Martha Stewart that we never thought that would happen either. Because man, let me tell you, we never,
Right?
it is a good thing, but we never thought that would happen. Like,
Of 100%, right? Like, that I feel like that to me was one of the major turning points where I was like, I'm interested in what Snoop Dogg is up to these days because how is this gonna work? Like, I was just like,
right?
I mean, I was fascinated by it, and I continue to be fascinated by it, right? Like, and I think that that's when I say we have that great example, I mean, I've been using that example. I have been like, and that's what I think has given me the courage to just be like, or you just try that.
Yep.
Because he doesn't care. He'll stop doing it. And that's the thing about it. Like, he's got his kids' YouTube channel, and I have no doubt that if he decides, not really, I don't really want to do this anymore, he'll just stop doing it. He'll leave the stuff out there, and it doesn't make him a fraud because he didn't want to follow through. It doesn't make him not having been invested in it. He put something out there because he felt like it was on his heart to do so, and then he followed his heart somewhere else. And I'm
And then it
like,
wasn't.
yeah, I'm starting to get that where I'm like, and then he's having success in all those places. Now, I know people are listening like, "Oh, he's having success because he's Snoop Dogg," but there's other people that are doing it too,
Yeah.
right? Like
He's just an obvious example.
exactly. Like, I'm reading the Lewis Howes book, and I'm watching how that exactly happened in his life, where he created this persona of money making, whatever the heck, and then was like, "Ew, I don't wanna do this anymore," and,
Right.
like, just went and did something else, and he was underground, he's not Snoop Dogg, and he left all that behind and said, "It's not on my heart, I'm not gonna do it anymore, I'm gonna do something else that's on my heart," and he's totally fine right now with saying, "When I'm done with this, if this entire brand goes away, I'll go be successful somewhere else because now I understand that I'm the magic, and I will bring the magic if I follow the magic,"
Yeah.
you know, and,
Yeah.
it's an amazing thing to think about, but it is a hard thing to implement in our
Yeah,
crazy
it
world.
is. It is because it's scary as fuck. Because we're trying to put on a persona.
Mhm.
We're trying to wear something. And in a sense, when we think about our brand and our who we are, and we wear it for a while, but it's like clothes. It's like they get old, they get worn out, they get stained, but yet we're not willing to let them go. Now,
Yeah.
I there's reason, it's valid. It's valid. It's hard because I think, if I watch some of the people I follow on social media, whenever they go off topic, whenever they start to do something new or include something, there's always a post like a week later that says, "Hey guys, got this comment stating, just stick to what you do best."
Yeah.
And it's hard because you're faced with that on social media, but at the same time, it just takes courage to really stretch into all the spaces where you want to be. And it but I think it's the motivation behind why we're doing it is what
Mhm.
matters, right? It's
Mhm.
not to say that any of them are wrong, but if we're doing stuff to be liked and we think that if we're liked that we'll get business or that we'll be successful, sometimes it's not always the best medicine, because when we aren't liked, then we feel like we're not doing it right. Then we take
Yeah.
on the responsibility of that person not liking us. And then we think everything's failing and we get stuck in that loop. Because I know, y'all, I talk about this, but let me tell you something. I can't tell you the intense fear and terror that I feel about being in the public eye.
Mm.
The only way that this is safe here is because I have Vanessa. It's the only
Mm.
reason why I felt safe to be in the public eye as Freud's angels, because I feel like I will not be harmed if I have someone that has my back. You know what
Okay.
I mean? And
Mhm.
so, but when I first way back when Facebook was first a thing, way back. I feel old when I talk about that. But
I know.
when I put up my first public Facebook page for my business, for my healing work, I was sick for days. I wanted
My
to
God.
throw up. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die. Oh my god, they're gonna kill me. Oh my god, everybody's gonna hate me." Like, and I'm still. Go to my Instagram, my Facebook. Count how many times I posted in the past 2 months. Like, you won't, it's like 1.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's a thing for me to work on. It's a thing for me to connect to. It's not just about the branding, but the fears we have are legitimate. And so
Yeah.
I had to disconnect social media from the idea of being liked and gaining followers and gaining traction, and do it from a space of, I want to share what's in my heart, and I want to share because someone in this world is going to need to hear this.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I vacillate back and forth between the two. Now, you know, I have past lives where I was killed and hurt and harmed for being that.
Yeah.
And that's legitimate, but I'm working on that. And at the
Yeah.
same time, like, I feel stagnant because I'm not sharing my light. This is the only container in the public eye that I can share my light in, other than the
Mhm.
classes I teach for Phoenix.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I want to do more of it. I want to attract more spaces to do it. And so part of understanding it is taking that facets of who I am, the different ones, the ones who loves to do meditation, the ones that love to do readings, the one that is, you know, many different things, like a writer. Like, I want to write, I want to do things, but yeah, I struggle too.
Yeah, because it's like you said, I mean, I feel like we're very much like fighting the box and things like that. And as you were talking about the old things, I was thinking, I hope I took down my old videos because not too long ago I did go back through my Facebook videos and I was like it was so cringy because you can very much see the difference between when I was trying to do it because I needed to do it and because it was like, oh my God, everybody says you have to make videos and you gotta you have to like give information and you have to have acronyms and you have to like there was this whole and like I watch it and I'm like, like that's the very inauthentic me. It was authentic
Mhm.
at the time me because of who I thought I needed to be, right? Like but now I'm like, oh my God, I can't never. But then I look at the interviews that I did. I did 2 or 3 of them with men, which is so funny that that always just keeps coming back around, like, just keeps friggin' coming back around because that was years ago that I was doing it, and I had some lined up when I stopped doing it. I can't remember why I stopped doing it. Um, I really can't remember. Probably life getting in the way and being like, "I don't have the mental capacity to do all this." But I looked at those and I was like, "Ugh, most authentic me ever, right? I'm sitting
Yeah.
down with, and they were all my friends, people, guys that I knew from Jersey, and I'm just sitting down, basically shooting the shit with them. And I was like, and those are fun. Those were good. They were good videos, right? Like they were good,
Yeah.
huh? Like, and I looked at them and I was like, okay, that tells you something about when you know why you're doing it because I wanted to help them. I wanted their stories to get out. They wanted to be able to tell their stories and help other people. That's all it was. It wasn't a ploy to do anything. And that's what happens like when you work with business coaches. They give you things to do in order to get clients and they put you in that mindset. And so like you're in that mindset. I feel like what's been happening is exactly what you just said is that like it started with me saying I'm going to record this meditation because I can't find my old recorded meditation. Or I would have just thrown that up honestly and just been like, "Hey, here's the thing I was telling you guys about, try it." Because I tell everybody who says I don't know how to meditate, I tell every single one of them, do a guided progressive muscle relaxation because you will be distracted enough by doing things with your body that you won't understand, like you won't have the opportunity to do the weird I'm all over the place and then stress yourself out about not meditating right. Like
Yeah.
you're doing it right if you're contracting your muscles and that makes it work, right? But yeah, so anyway, it started there and then it started to like catch fire, but then it felt for half a second, I was like, "You friggin' imposter. This isn't what you do. This is what other people do. You sit down with people one on one, and that's your magic." And I was like, "Where the fuck is that coming from?
Yeah.
Where is that coming from? Clearly, you can because you've given this to clients before. It has helped them. Like, why are you being so weird about it?" And I started to go into that space. Now, as you were talking, I was thinking about all those facets of myself, that those chameleon versions of me, right? And even when I say that out loud, I'm like, the person that gave me that reading, now that I know them a lot better, they have a personal feeling about me. And sometimes I even know that sometimes it's hard to tell when you're reading and when you've got a personal energy thing going on. It can be very difficult.
Unless you work with the hollow bone, because then you know you're in your heart. Just saying. Sorry.
Right, right. But some for some, right? Like
Yeah, no.
for some who are, and maybe it's the combination that people are using. They don't know
Right.
what they're doing and why what part of it they're in. But I found, so I find that out later, and then when I come back around to it and I think about all those spaces where I mean, y'all, I have all kinds of different friend groups, legitimately, and I live in them and love in them and thrive in them, and there is no fakeness whatsoever. Like when I would go out to bars to hang out with my band friends, I have not a musical I can't do it. I don't understand it. eh, I wasn't faking. I wasn't being like a poser and being like, "Oh my god, I'm a band person." I was there having a good time with my friends, and I could talk to them about stuff, and I could ask them questions, and I was very interested in that life.
Yeah.
And then I'm an athlete, and I go to hockey, and we're talking hockey, and we're talking sports, and we're all that, and I am an athlete also, right? And I have, like, this psychology piece to me. That is another part of me that I very much am. None of these things are fake. They're all real, and in all of them, I've been accepted and valid in all those spaces. So I went through that, and I was like, "Well, then what makes you not valid all of a sudden if you decided to work with 1 or 2 people who are athletes? Why would you then not be valid?" That's a part of you. You could easily dip into that part of you. You've coached sports multiple times in your life. You've been very good at it. Why would you think that you'd have to qualify yourself and say, "Well, I no longer do this. Now this is the only thing I do." Why would you have to do that? And it's a whole situation, but it's like you were saying, it's how society has created. It's a form of control. It's a form of
Yeah.
capitalist consumerist stuff, I believe, like education turning into like an elitist conversation. Um, it was definitely man-made, and we've all kind of been programmed to believe it. And it's like sucks to be one of the ones that feels like, well, I'm supposed to be here to deprogram that, which means I have to do it. And it's really uncomfortable, and you're gonna have to come up against the people that go, "Well, I thought you were a whatever." Like, "Yeah, I'm that too."
Yeah.
How does that feel? I guess you're gonna have to sit with the fact that you thought that.
Yeah.
Don't know what to tell you. I guess you're not for me.
Yeah, and, and as you were saying that about, online, I think, when people are like, "Just stick to the one thing," like, that is manipulation, and
Mm,
it's also, my needs are more than what your needs are.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, what you do for me is more important than what you wanna do in your life, and,
yeah,
and I know and I understand they're just trolls and they're people most of the time they're bots, they're not even real humans, and, but at the same time, I think that deters a lot of people. I know the whole comment thing deters me, but I keep reminding myself, "Girl, you can turn the fucking comments off." And
1,000%.
just, it's yeah,
Well, that's
it's
go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say it's just hard to maneuver through that space of what feels right to me, because for some people being one thing is enough. Is important because they feel comfortable in it. That's who they are. That's what they
Mhm.
do. Fantastic. Like, I don't know that Jay Shetty is ever gonna like, rebrand because that's who he is, like,
Yeah.
he is that, but I think he created a brand that encompassed all the parts of him. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
it's like, rather than niching down into one thing, why not create a brand that encompasses everything, that you can be anything from that brand? And I think, Vanessa, that's so much what you do, I think, in how you present, even before this new inspiration that you've been on, because you've I don't know, yes, you're an intuitive counselor, but you broaden your topics from so many different spaces. You
Yeah.
talk about being an athlete, you talk about men and therapy, you talk about you've talked about fertility, and you bring all of that knowledge into all the spaces to lend insight to all the things. Now, granted, are you more than just a counselor? Absolutely. But I think it's hard when we label ourselves as one thing, and when yeah, because I get stuck in the labels because it's just sometimes what I've been stuck in. And so
Mhm.
when I was thinking and we came up with spiritual guide, it was like, yeah, I could guide you with meditations, I could guide you with sessions, I could guide you with readings, I could guide you with podcasts, with the whatever, 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 whatever. And it was like, okay, that feels more like in alignment with being able to encompass all those facets.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard to ignore the fact that there are gonna be people that say negative things. It doesn't matter. I mean, I think that that's one of the things that I learned about being a super Libra people pleaser was that I couldn't please everybody, and it was
Yeah.
annoying, and I would be like, "Well, this is shitty. Everybody I just want
Yeah.
everybody to be happy with me, right? Like, no, you don't
Yeah.
even have to love me, just be happy with me." And it's just like that's all that matters, like or neutral. As long as you're
Yeah.
not mad or hating me, I'm good, right? And there's just some
Mhm.
people that you just cannot please. You
Yeah.
can't even be nice to them. They don't even want you to be nice to them. Like there's nothing you can do to
Yeah.
make that person be neutral even, and you have to accept it. Now, I also am reminded of this on a regular basis sitting down with my clients where I've had so much exposure to everybody's everything because of what I do
Yeah.
that I'm like, I know, you know what I mean? Like I see a shitty comment and I don't even I'm more wondering who that person is than even thinking about what they've said about me.
Yeah.
Right? But
Yeah.
because I see it as you're a wounded person or you're a miserable person or there's something that is hurting you. Why would you do that? Is more my question now, but I get that that's because of the work that I do and that's very hard to get at when you haven't sat with people and heard the horrible fucking things that they've done and said to people and know why, and watch them grow and be different and all that kind of stuff. Because I really am at that point where I'm like, I don't care in that way
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're gonna say something, like if you're gonna say stick to what you know, I'm gonna go, no. Like, and that's it. You don't have to watch me. And if you're gonna watch me, that's fine. And if I have to ban, I mean, there's actually somebody who I thought was my friend forever. Not like my online friend, I should say. And I noticed that this guy just constantly, everything I put up there, it was like he was being a contrarian. Everything I put up, it was like, yeah, or this or that, or just all picking at me all the time. And I'm like, this is supposed to be my friend. Well, it's somebody who thought that he should date me a long time ago, thinks he's a good guy, is mad that I didn't date him, and has been taking out on me ever since. And I was like, "Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, that's not my fault." But I would entertain because I would be like, "You're my friend," and I would be trying to, like, be friends with somebody who was never gonna be able to be that way because they already were mad, I guess, or trying to do something, punish me maybe for I mean, I really don't know because again, like, I get to a certain point and then I go, "I don't care," and so I just banned that person from my page and was from my life because I was like, "You're not nice to me. Why would I want you here?" But for the most part, other than that, I'm like, "Whatever." I don't have time or energy to deal with what you think of me because I understand that what you think of me isn't who I am. I know I'm growing so much into loving who I am and who I consistently become that I don't need your permission. And I think that that's what a lot of people online are doing when they like when you were talking about the single faceted people as you were talking about it I thought, yeah, there are some people that just like to do it that way and they're not doing it intentionally to be like, "Oh god, like I just need to be this one thing." They're just like, "This is how I make my money. And so this is what you're gonna see on my page.
Yeah.
And my private life is my private life because I want it to be my private life. I'm just like
Yeah.
not interested in talking about that online.
Yeah.
But again, society wise, we've been like, oh my God. And we see that and we think that they live that their whole life because unless we're a voyeur in your entire life,
Yeah.
we just have to make up a story of who you are.
Which is what I think I wish the world would understand. All the
Yeah.
humans in the world would understand that most of the people don't share their entire life online. So you have no context as to why they're going through what they're going through, why they're sharing what they're sharing, why they're,
Mhm.
who they are. Like there's so much context you don't have. And so to make a judgment or an opinion on it is really making it with only half the information.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a big thing because I see that. And one of the things I lost it. It'll come back, I think. You were talking about something.
I was talking about a lot of things.
Sorry,
Word
my
vomit.
brain just
It's
went
okay.
like, "What?"
Yeah. And I've just been word vomiting all over the place because I'm
It's okay.
feeling
It's
I'm
okay. We
feeling
can we can word vomit all that we want to word vomit.
Yeah. Well, and I had actually written down a little bit ago the word enigma because I feel like I love that word, like,
Yeah.
because it's so like, "Whoa, what is that?" Like, I don't get
Reminds
it,
me of the
but I
band.
like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I don't know, I don't know. That just is a word, and I feel like, you know, we're all
Yeah.
grasping right now, I think, for identities because of the loss of identity because everybody's kind of being pushed to do things to survive.
Yeah.
And so that might be part of it too, is that people are kind of like searching for something that feels solid. And when they don't feel that there's a solid person in front of them, it's hard for them
Yeah.
because, it makes it feel unsafe and unstable
Yeah.
when they already feel unsafe and unstable.
Yeah. Totally. Oh, I know what it was. Okay, sorry.
Right.
I
I
was
figured
waiting
I'd do
for
a filler, it would come back.
I was waiting for it to come back around. I'm like, "Okay, come back. Come on." I went down my train of thought that I was on, and I'm like, "Okay, come back."
Yeah.
It's like calling a dog when they run off. Um, sometimes too is that when we aren't sure, we look to inspiration and we look to people to help. And then, if you're I mean, we talk about this through the energy of being air signs. It's kind of what air signs are. We're all the things, right? We're all the we're all the things. And so when we get influenced by someone or when we're influenced by someone, it sometimes is hard because we then take on what they think we should be. We take on their persona. We take on what their opinion is. One of the things that in most brand building courses will tell you to do is to ask your closest 5 friends how they see you or what do they see are your biggest strengths and who you are. And and whilst that is important because sometimes we don't have perspective, sometimes when I ask that question, I'm like, "Really? You think that I do that really well? Really?" And I get really like, okay." But it's also can be you get stuck in what somebody else thinks you need to be when your heart is not in it. Like, for example, like, I don't know, I bake really well. I love to bake. I make yummy things. And people could say, be a baker of food somebody online. And I'm like, I don't wanna. Like, it isn't something that I wanna do. And so when we are in those spaces of creating who we are online or in the world or as our identity or as our brand, understand that whilst you can take guidance, you can take inspiration from people, make your own decision of what feels right in your heart because ultimately you have to live that. And if somebody tells me, "Oh, you should have a baking channel on Instagram," and I'd be like, "Yeah, no. Thank you. No, thank you. Yes, I love to do it. Yes, it is something in my passion and I love to do it and I know when I do it I feel good because I love to create in that way, but I don't want it to become a brand. I don't want it to become a job. I don't it's not when my heart is." And so sometimes we just need to step into that feeling of, I have this inspiration and this kind of perspective, but how do I feel about it? Does this feel connected with who I feel I am inside? And sometimes you try it on and it doesn't fit and you just try the next thing. It's okay to do that too. It's not wrong. It's not
Right.
wrong.
Yeah.
So, and it's as we've been talking about it, I thinking about, changing identity and changing brand. And I think about the boomer generation and the generation just after it. I think it was my generation or
Mhm.
whatever. We were always told, those of us who wanted to be free will and not decide what we wanted to be as an adult, like when we grew up, we were criticized, we were told that we were aimless,
Mhm.
we were very much ridiculed by being that person. Like if you didn't know what you wanted to be when you grew up, and
Or if you changed it, you
yeah,
were wishy-washy
right.
and disloyal and non-committal.
Yep. And so that is, you know, definitely like I think where some of this need to be that one thing and to hang our I mean, okay, so let's use a real-time example. Freaking Vander Media. Look at Gary V. Look at how many different facets of who he is and his brand and what he does. He makes stuffed toys. He trades like he sells like uh
He's
playing
Mr.
cards.
Thrifty Man. Yeah.
Like, he does so much, and he's never been, "I am this person. I am just me, and I'm doing what I love to do. Follow me or don't. Oh, well." You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's just yeah.
Yeah.
If we can embrace those in a way, start somewhere, start where you feel most connected to right now and begin. And then over time, it may shift, it may change, and then you create another facet of what you do and who you follow, and it's okay to do that. It's okay to do that.
It is okay because you know what? Most people don't actually care or notice or remember,
Yeah.
right? Like I had a client and I was talking about when I was doing the fertility thing and they didn't remember it at all. They were like, "Oh." I'm like, "I made such a big friggin' deal about it. I made a big deal about changing it. Like I was a hot mess about the whole thing." Nobody remembers or cares because they're following the journey. And like when you talk about Gary V, I have been in and out of the Gary V universe
Me too.
because there were times where I didn't like Gary V, and I was
Same.
like, "You know what? You're being a hard ass, and I don't like it." But
Mm.
then I actually had, like, a personal experience, somebody that personal, everything's online. Most of my friends are online friends from the past 10 years. Um, but it was an online friend that I was in a group with. And he was at a Gary V event and he yelled out, "Give me a job." And Gary V gave him a job. He moved him to frickin' New York and gave him a job. He worked there for like 4 years. He was like, he's the real deal. Like, yes, he works all the time, but he was like, he really friggin' likes it. He's a maniac about working. He loves it. He's not doing it for any other reason, and he's great to work for, and I was like, "Okay, this is a real person that I know and I trust." Like, I don't think that he signed, like, an NDA and he's just, like, spewing this off because he's afraid Gary's gonna come get him if he said anything bad. You know what I mean? But at
Right.
the same time, like, I forgive Gary for for his time of talking about grinding and not working hard enough and all that. I forgive him. I'm fine. I'm not like, "You used to be this way and now you're this way." Like, for a little bit I was, but it was with this idea of like, "Ooh, like, you're going in a direction that I don't wanna go in, so I'm off the journey, and that's okay. Go do it. Like, speak to the people that speak to you." Um and so, like, it's kind of adopting that same thing of
Yep.
saying, like, you're just tapping into different places the same way that I tap into different places on a regular basis. Or, if I'm sitting down with somebody and we start talking about, like, aliens and whatever, like, I'm in that space and I'm like, "Woo," but 20 minutes later, I could go to my hockey game and sit there and
Yeah.
do crude jokes and laugh about the times that we were drinking and, talk about all the athletes and all of that kinda stuff 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
And neither one of those groups of people is like, "That's not who you were 20 minutes ago." I don't care
Yeah.
because that's not what they are here for,
Yeah.
and I think that that's like, it's a small facet of the population that does actually care and voices it, but that small facet, why would we listen to them?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why would you take criticism that one of the another quote that, like, don't take criticism from somebody you wouldn't take advice from is like,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Oh no, right? Like I remember hearing that and being like, that's a thing. That is a thing, right? And so it's a small capacity. Brene Brown, I watched her special again. I watched it probably 5 times. I watched it again a few weeks ago, and she
So
talks
did
about
I.
that. She talks about when, the thing went viral, and then she was like, "I'm not gonna look at the comments." And she looked at the comments, and she said out loud some of the horrible comments that people made about her, and I was like, "Ugh." Like, but she talks about how she got herself through it, of being able to be like, yo, those people are just those people. But if it's hurting me, I can use that to grow, right? Like I can use that to grow. I can sit in my whatever is going on right now and figure it out and become stronger on the other side of it. And
Yeah.
then, joke's on you guys. That's well, she didn't say that part, but that's what I was thinking. I was like, joke's on you. You thought you were gonna make me feel bad. You made me feel better. Ha ha.
Yeah.
Like, it's my spite thing. We talk about it all the time. I am so here for it. Like, oh, watch this. It's gonna backfire on you so hard, and I'm gonna use that in order to make it backfire on you so hard.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that inner strength, right? Like, and I think that that's, you know, what we're called to do. Society shifts, and if we believe in the universe guiding us really and guiding humanity in the ways that are I don't even want to say it, like for our highest good, it means that some of us end up being soldiers in these battles in order to save people, right? Like and we do it because we want to do it. Like I want people to feel the way that I'm describing feeling, of being as indifferent as you can be, that like things will hurt your feelings, but they won't hurt your image of yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a hard road. It's a hard road. And certain
Right.
people are just always gonna get you, I feel like, but
It's true. It's true.
yeah.
It's hard. I mean, it's also hard too when you're trying to do something to make a living and you feel like every place you get that sense of negativity. It's a hard road to walk, but
Yeah.
at the
Well,
same
because we
time,
look at the like, but we're not ever looking at the full metrics.
right, exactly. That's
We're
what I'm
never
saying.
fully there's negativity in all those spaces. Yeah, and there's like triple the positivity, but
Yeah.
that's not what we're focusing on. We're focusing on the negativity. If 90 people are like, "Oh my god, thank you," and one person's like, "You piece of shit," I'm
Yeah.
gonna be looking at the guy, "Oh my god, like what? Those 90 people, now you just told them that their vision of you is invalid. That's not very nice."
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Our negative brain bias, we look like Brene Brown says, don't
Mhm.
look for the places you don't fit in because you will find them.
100%. And you'll nestle right in there.
Yep. Yep. To constantly validate your belief of not fitting in.
Yeah. And it's wild. It's wild. This is not, if this were an easy thing to do, everybody would do it. And
Yep.
the world keeps changing, so we keep having to adapt our skills to be able to do it, which is
Yeah.
like, sometimes hard because we're rapidly changing in the last 20 years has been like insanity when it comes to all of the change in
Yep.
our society.
Yep.
But
1000%.
like every thought leader has ever said, we do a disservice to the world if we don't let our light shine,
Yep.
and that we've got to stop being so egocentric. Right? And
It's hard to believe that not doing that because of a certain reason is an ego-based thing, but it
I
is.
know.
It is. It's not a humbleness. It's not humbleness. It's fear. It's whatever the ego is telling you that you can't do or won't do or aren't good enough to do. It's an ego thing. It's not your yeah.
Right, because when we're doing it, the ego's gone.
Yeah.
We don't even think about it. When you're in the
Yeah.
moment, when I'm saying things that don't even make sense in session, I don't care. Like, I'm not my ego is gone. I'm just
Yeah.
like, and even if they're like, "What?" And I'm kind of like, "I don't know." I trust myself though, like, and I trust my connection. So if it doesn't make sense now, it'll make sense at some other point.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't get it. Right. Like, because I'm not here for my ego. I'm here to help you.
Yep. 1,000%. And it's like you said, like yesterday, I woke up in the most really weird energetic space and kind of really in spaces where I felt a lot of like shame and embarrassment and mortification. And I was like, how am I going to teach a class on healing cellular memory if I'm feeling this way? And it's like immediately stepping into that space. I was like, it was like a switch flipped
Mhm.
because I was out of my head and into the heart of what I do and into something that I love and that brings me into my heart. And then it was like, oh, I'm here and everything's fine again. It's not to say that that part of me isn't valid, but it was like connecting to the source that helps support that part of me when it arises.
Yeah, for sure. Right.
Yeah.
And it's, I think when we use the word ego, it's kind of like when we were talking about niche and all, like, we just don't like the word. We've been trained to not like the word. So it makes it hard for us to use it
Yeah.
in the way that, like, it really needs to be used, which is, the 3D persona is my
Mhm.
ego here, like, and it's not my boisterous, confident, cocky self, which is what people think an ego is, right? Because a bruised ego is not those things, right? Like, a bruised ego is a wounded person, but it still is that,
Yeah.
like, outward expression of who I am and how I fit in the world, the outward expression, not the inward, right? Like, and when we're in our soul, we don't, all of that goes away. I mean, I
Yeah.
think we experience it on levels we don't even remember, right? Like, I don't remember why I was talking about this, and maybe I don't remember if it was on a podcast or what, but I was talking about how it feels like to step into the hockey rink or to step into, like, if you go to a football game. It doesn't I don't care about any of those people's lives. We're all here to cheer for the team, and we are on the energy of the team, and nobody cares about anybody's who you are. We're
Yeah.
all one person at this point, right? We're all here. Well, I mean, obviously, if sports is a stupid like, analogy because we're not all on the same side, but we're all here on the side of sports, right? So we check our ego at the door, which is our ego meaning, like, who I exist as in the world and who I'm judged as in the world. And now I've stepped into this whole energy of
Yeah.
what I'm doing here and why we're here. It becomes our camaraderie that we're here for the same reason.
Yeah. You become part of the unit versus one piece.
Right. Right.
Mm.
And we
Yeah.
just lose that. So I feel like those of us out here trying to figure out how to make it happen are struggling, but we're trying, you
Yeah.
know, to connect. Like, it's being able to connect is everything.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. So wherever you're at in your journey of understanding how you portray yourself as your brand or in the world or online or however in all the places that you want to, I hope that we've given you food for thought.
Yes.
I hope you will turn inward and consider what internally do you feel and feel you need, what is there, what is alive in you, and how can you support yourself or gather support from people you trust in order to maneuver through it.
Yeah.
Um, we hope that you have a great week. Happy fall equinox last Sunday. We're recording this on Sunday, so happy fall and happy Libra season to
Yes.
especially to our favorite Libra. Um, yeah, if you need us or you need help maneuvering through this or understanding it or taking it a little bit farther, you know where to reach us. Please remember to go check out our YouTube channel. If you don't have a favorite place to listen to the podcast, they are up on our YouTube channel. Just Google Freud's Angels and you'll find us. Also, don't forget to check out Vanessa's YouTube because she's been uploaded some fantastic meditations and just she's on fire. So go support her there too. We love you and we hope that you have a beautiful week.
Yay. Love y'all. Thanks for listening.
We hope we gave you something to support your journey.
Check out our Facebook or Instagram page to connect with us.
Have a great week.